Good afternoon. I hope you all had a lovely lunch. I certainly did. So today I'm just going to be talking about finding the right mask for non-invasive ventilation. In some instances, a non-invasive ventilation mask would be the same as a CPAP mask, but in other instances, if you're using volume ventilation, you would need a different mask. So, finding the right mask to use with non-invasive ventilation can be fraught with difficulties. There are many types, models and sizes, and each have advantages and disadvantages. The first thing to consider is what kind of machine the person is using and whether they need a vented or non-vented mask. For CPAP and BiPAP, you need a vented mask, and for volume cycle ventilation, you need a non-vented mask. Then you need to consider the coverage, whether the person is able to apply and remove the mask independently, or whether they need an assistant or a modified headgear to enable that to happen. So I put this second, but I should have put it first because it is the most prime thing, is comfort and preference. Some people have a little bit of claustrophobia, and covering their nose and mouth with the mask can mean that they can't wear it at all. So in that case, you may use a nasal mask or a nasal pillow system with a chin strap to keep the mouth closed if they're not able to keep their mouth closed themselves. So features, a configuration of the mask, ease of cleaning and ease of assembly. Masks are getting better as time goes on. A few years ago, one of the most common masks we use had 13 different parts that needed to be disassembled and cleaned and reassembled regularly. Now, the most common mask we use has got 4 parts, so things are getting better. So just back to the vented and non-vented mask, as I said a moment ago, those using CPAP and BiPAP machines have a mask with vents built into the mask itself, and that's where the exhaled air comes out. With the volume cycle ventilators, you have a non-vented mask, and then in the circuit of the ventilator you have an exhalation valve, and that allows the person to receive a breath to a set volume, a set number of times per minute, which can't happen. You can get a set number of breaths per minute, but not a set volume on bi-level devices. Coverage. Well, there's lots of different models of mask out there, and these are the kinds: hood and total face. So hood covers your whole head and comes down around your neck. Total face just covers your whole face. Then there's the full face mask or oronasal mask, and nasal mask, and then nasal pillow systems and oral systems. General information about fitting a mask is that you need to try it in multiple positions. Many people come in to have a mask fitting at our clinic, and we sit them in a chair and we try a mask on, and then we ask them to lay down. And that can be a bit difficult if they've got mobility issues, but people lay down to sleep. So you need to test the mask in the position that they're going to be sleeping in, as well as other positions that they may use the mask in throughout the day or evening. You must have the machine in operation so that you can assess the leaks if there are any, and adjust the headgear or the mask position in order to reduce the leaks. Patient comfort is of paramount importance, as I mentioned. So if the person starts to feel a bit claustrophobic, then perhaps that mask is not for them. And many of our clients have multiple masks. They might have a nasal mask or a nasal pillow system to use during the day, and then a full face mask to use at night when they're unable to control their mouth opening. So there's lots of different things. And just an important thing there, with most masks, making the headgear tighter to reduce leaks can actually make leaks worse, in addition to causing pressure points and perhaps pressure sores on the face. So your mask performance may be worse by wearing it too tight. When to consider a full face mask. If possible, we try and fit people with a nasal mask because they're a little bit easier to use and a little more comfortable. But these kind of things, waking up frequently feeling dry, using a chin strap not reducing the dryness, using a humidifier not reducing the dryness, a mouth breather who is unable to, with the aid of a chin strap, keep their mouth closed during sleep, or nasal congestion and these other things that cause difficulty breathing through the nose. So now just some pictures of some masks. So these are all the top 2 are hood masks, and the bottom 2 are total face masks, just all different models. As you can see, the masks cover the whole head. The design is such that there is no airflow into the eyes. So despite the fact that you would think by looking at them they're going to get dry eyes if their eyes aren't fully closed, the way the masks are designed prevent that from happening, so you don't have to worry too much about that. These are a range of vented full face masks that we're currently using. The top row from the left to the right is a Fisher and Paykel, and then the other two are ResMed masks. And the bottom row is the left-hand side one is a ResMed mask, the middle one is a Respironics mask, and the right-hand one is a Parker mask. So there's lots of different brands and lots of different models. Some have forehead extensions to stabilise them, and others don't. These are some non-vented full-face masks, and the only difference between those ones and the previous page is that these don't have any vents built into the elbow. And one of the ways to distinguish between a vented and a non-vented mask is that all brands of non-vented mask are either completely blue or have a blue elbow to indicate that there is no vents in it. And that way, there's less likelihood of a clinician giving a person a non-vented mask when they need a vented one, or the other way around. These are some vented nasal masks, and some of them are slightly larger than others. They're all very effective, and all of these masks are made of silicone. There's no rubber in any of the masks that are used these days, so latex allergy is not a problem. They're all made of silicone. Some are double layer and triple layer, and some are single layer, just depending upon the individual design. And again, some nasal non-vented masks. And as before, they're either the whole mask is blue or the elbow is blue to indicate that there is no exhalation vent in that particular mask, and it shouldn't be used for CPAP or BiPAP. These are some nasal pillow systems. So nasal pillow systems just are either a sling that sits under the nose or a couple of little pillows that just sit just inside the nostrils to deliver air directly into the nose. Some people who have chronic issues with pressure areas on the bridge of their nose do very well with these. You have to, as with all nasal masks, you have to be able to keep the mouth closed when asleep in order for them to be effective. Any nasal system used in the presence of an open mouth would result in the person not being ventilated, because the air would go up their nose and just come straight out of their mouth. So, no air going into the lungs. So mask application, this is the key thing that the user needs to know, is that they need to know how to assemble the mask correctly so that there's not going to be any unintended leak through the mask fitting. The mask needs to be placed squarely on the face, and we usually encourage our clients to practice in front of a mirror, sitting in front of a mirror, practice taking the mask on and off, so that when they go to bed, they can just do it without thinking about it. It just comes naturally. Put it over their head and clip it up. So you hold the mask over your face, you take the straps in your hand, pull them over your head, and then do them up the bottom clip, having the top straps already in place. A full face mask, as you saw from those pictures, covers the nose and mouth, and it's important to have the mask position so that it's not too high near the eyes and therefore leak air into the eyes, and also it's not too far down on the chin so that air leaks out under the chin. A nasal mask, by its definition, only covers the nose. Again, in most cases, we would advise a chin strap, because most of us have a little bit of mouth opening during sleep, and then so air would leak out the mouth from the ventilation. You get mouth dryness and also underventilation. So most people that use a nasal mask also use a chin strap. And again, to ensure a good seal, you need to make sure that the mask is positioned correctly, not too close to the eyes nor too close to the mouth, because you'll then get leak at either end of the mask. This just demonstrates in how to apply the mask. So you can see the user there is positioning the mask over the nose and mouth, and then pulling the straps over and then clipping them up at the bottom. And then there's a picture of a chin strap, which is designed to hold the mask. So these are really important things that we educate our clients on. The mask should be firm enough to minimise air leaks, but loose enough to avoid facial pressure areas. On a bi-level device and CPAP machines, they do compensate for some leak, so you don't have to get a perfect seal. The headgear should be applied with equal tension on each strap and should only need to be adjusted slightly from time to time. If you do adjust your head strap, you're best off adjusting it at the bottom first before adjusting the top, and you're also better off adjusting a little bit on each side rather than a lot on one side. Men should shave regularly because the silicone will not seal around whiskers. The thicker the whiskers or the longer the beard, the bigger the leak and the less effective the ventilation. And having said that, the machine will compensate for moderate leaks, but a hairy face always ends up with large leaks. We also encourage our clients to report any issues with redness, soreness or broken skin on the bridge of their nose, but try and avoid that from call us before it actually does become broken skin, so we can either arrange an alternative mask or provide an appropriate dressing to use as a barrier to further pressure. Modified headgear. This is not something that you can buy, so the clients with limited manual dexterity or upper limb mobility and strength may benefit from a specially modified headgear. Our VRSS, occupational therapists and outreach nurses, have designed a number of modifications, and we also manufacture some special headgear for our clients that need them. So I'm just going to go through some pictures of various modifications that we're currently using. So these ones are either left or right hand quick release if someone's only got the use of one hand, or they need to do, if they've got the use of their right hand, we can modify it so that they turn their head a little bit to the left, pull the strap and the mask will come off. Just a whole range of different modifications here. Most of them are quick release, with the headgear has been opened at the back and Velcro attached, and then either the left or right hand adaptation, and that would be made as long or short depending upon the individual's arm movement and strength. So on the top left-hand side there you can see one with a short strap here. So that's someone who's got relatively good hand movement but not very much finger movement, and they can just slip their hand up in there and just pop it forward like that, and it will come undone, and then they can lift the mask off their face. We also manufacture and modify chin straps. So the one on the left is one that we manufacture ourselves, and as is the one on the right. The one on the right is a chin strap, but its main purpose is to stop the mask riding up the face. So it goes on over the straps and under the chin, so that when the person moves about in bed, the mask doesn't slide up their face, and that just helps hold it in position. And then we have some modified and customised head straps, chin straps. So on the top left-hand one is a standard ResMed chin strap, which we have modified by changing the over-the-top strap, and we make them in small, medium and large. The top right-hand one is one that we make. We call it a C-strap. It's a copy that we made from one that we used to purchase, but the company stopped making them. So we spoke to our OTs about it, and we redesigned them slightly and started making them ourselves. On the bottom left-hand side, we're using a chin strap there to actually help hold a mask in place for someone who gets a lot of movement in the jaw, or a lot of lower mask movement. And so we make a hole in the chin strap, hem it up, and then put it over the bottom elbow of the mask and strap it around the back of the neck with headgear, and that helps stop mask movement. Some people find that mask movement of it lifting up and down with the breath very difficult to tolerate, and that can resolve that issue. And the other picture is just another under chin strap there. Cleaning and maintenance of the mask is really, really important. We advise that the mask is wiped over with a damp cloth every day to remove sweat and oil. And the reason for that is because it will seal better the next night. If you allow sweat and oil and skin cells to accumulate on the mask over a number of days, not only do they become smelly, but they fit less effectively and they don't seal very well. You're more likely to have problems with leak. We advise people to disassemble and wash the items once a week and allow it to dry. And the headgear and chin strap, we also advise to be washed once a week in warm soapy water. If you put them in a small garment bag, you can toss them in the washing machine, and it's actually more effective than washing them by hand. But you need to put them in a garment bag, because if you put them in with ordinary clothing, the Velcro straps will just get filled up with bits of fluff from the other clothing. So you need a little special bag for that. So my colleagues at the Austin Hospital have helped me design and modify all these things and provided the photographs of all the chin straps. So there you go. Thank you.